how to take mocks, how many mocks to take, what kind of timeline should I do, the rest of it. Those are the things that we're looking to address in just this video, right? How to take mocks, it's very, very important to mimic exam setting. Mocks have to be taken intensely. No pausing and retaking. And so this mocks are about intensity, about stamina, about hanging in there when stuff doesn't go your way, about building temperamental toughness, about persevering. And there will be moments in your exam, moments in your mock cycle where you feel like just chucking it all out and said, look, first section is gone. No matter how much I do, I'm not going to scramble and get a good score. Why do I want to see an 83rd percentile or a 75th percentile? That's going to disappoint me. You're going to have those moments. If you don't have those moments, you're not human. And so this entire mock cycle is about combating that and saying, look, I will take this exam through to completion. Even if it is 75 percentile, even if my first section is 50th percentile, I want to tell myself that I know I have tanked section 1, but I'll fight back in section 2 and 3. That's what you need to do. So how do I take mock? If I describe in one word, intensely. And so having an ambitious target, analyzing your percentiles, analyzing your percentage accuracy and trade-off, selecting questions by topic, all of those are secondary. Some of those are not even required. You don't need to overanalyze your mock topic-wise breakup. Mocks are anyway somebody's imitation of what the original could be. So why do you want to overanalyze section-wise breakup in mocks? And so drawing an entire graph of all your percentiles, all these are sometimes anxiety contributors. And so you see your percentile yo-yoing, you get more worried. So don't overdo this scores and stats analysis bit. And so, but the one mantra you need to have throughout your mock cycle and in any given mock you're taking is intensity. The only challenge you're placing before yourself when you take a mock is for these 3 hours, if I find my mind wandering, I'm going to bring it back here. I'm going to throw everything concentration wise into these 3 hours. It can make a world of difference. And I've seen people who are fidgety, anxious, nervous, and they just let their mind wander. Whenever that happens, you don't have any control over your mock. You don't have a sense of, okay, this many I've attempted, most of them seem to be correct. I have taken some chances here, hopefully that'll go well. You don't have that sense of, okay, I've done this well, that less well, and third section was not great. You don't have that sense at all once you've completed a mock. That's because your mind is wandering. So the one thing that's like the guideline for one mecca for mock cycle is intensity. So how should you take mock? You should take it intensely, which automatically means you can't take it during funny times. You can't start at 10 p.m. and end at 1 a.m. You can't say I'm at the end of a long tiring day, I'll go take a mock. You can't say I'll do funny things. You can't say I'll take one section, take a break, after 15 minutes start the second section. How will your mind cope with 180 minutes of intensity if you're giving it 60-minute spurts? And so be very wary of changing the tone of the mock. A mock has to be a mock, as close to the real deal as possible. It doesn't have to be proctored. It doesn't have to be in an external setting. You don't have to go out and do it. You can sit in the confines of your room and crank up intensity. Don't open any other window. Keep all your devices away. Have a glass of water right next to you if you need. Otherwise, you should be throwing everything into the mock without anything else coming to the picture. That part is absolutely critical. How many mocks should I aim for? 15 is like a good lower bound. You should try to say I'll do at least 15. Right? You don't need to do 70 mocks. Very often I find students telling me, I'm thinking of taking 50 mocks. I'm like, okay, if you take 10, then we'll take stock. Right? After 15, the marginal utility of mocks starts falling off. And so it is still valuable to do 25, right? But 45 or 47, from the 45th mock to the 46th mock, you sometimes become mechanized. You're not throwing enough into a mock. And so don't overdo the mock gig. How frequently should you take it? In the September, October part, or this phase, pre the last lap, you're looking at doing 1.5 per week. So 1 every 7 days or 1 every 4 or 5 days. You crank it up to 1 every 2 days or 3 days. 3 per mock, 3 mocks per week is a good rate to do from November 1 to November 20. The last 2-3 days you should relax, not throw everything into it. You should take a break, be recharged, hydrated, work on your feel good factors, all of that. And so you should take your mocks intensely. You should look to take at least 15, but not set a monstrously high target that you don't throw any intensity into it. And you should look to do 1 per week, crank it up to 3 per week from now till the exam. The last 3-4 days, you should not be taking any mocks. And that's the mock schedule plan that you should be looking at. Next up, how to analyze a mock. What do I do? I'm a big fan of having steps of 3, counts of 3 things that I want to achieve. Right? First one from a mock is a learning objective. Right? Undoubtedly, mocks have the best questions. Right? Every provider out there selects some beautiful questions to put in their mocks. Some are inconsistent, but very often you'll find the most beautiful questions sitting inside the mocks. So make sure that you learn from the mocks. There is an order there. Everything that you got wrong, see that first. Anything that you skipped, see that next. Anything that you got right, see that last. If you got it right and you're very sure you're the best method, you can skip it. Got something wrong, you must see the solution. And so the learning gap filling is a priority. Second thing, the most crucial takeaway from mocks is question selection, or I would even phrase it as question elimination. Every time you finish a mock, you should look at the question that you should have skipped but ended up trying. That is the holy grail. And the best guys find the best questions. Not the most talented guys do not necessarily crack this exam. The most savvy guys crack it. And so if you take any sporting example, if you take cricket, so Dhoni is a brilliant chaser. Michael Bevan is a brilliant chaser. Javed Miandad is a brilliant chaser. They were not necessarily the best batsmen in their team. And so the best batsman has a set of skills and he can take anything on and come out on top. The less gifted batsman plans and games and strategizes and says, look, I'm not that good at geometry, but I can nail speed time distance. I'm not going to take on geometry. I don't need to win that battle to get 99%. They pick their battles magnificently. Their entire mock cycle is to become that savvy person. To give you my own example, I was so cocky, confident, brash guy when I took my first CAT. So my mind would never let go of a question, especially in Quant. So if there are 50 questions in Quant, I'll go into the exam saying, look, I have 35 minutes for Quant. Then we had to match our timings. So you would have 40 minutes per section roughly, but you could shift timing out. I would reduce my time for Quant and say 35 minutes, but I'll still attempt 45, 46 because I'm the big daddy. So every time I entered in, I chased the paper. I'd go berserk trying to answer quick questions in a frenzy. And I'll never let go of any question. And so quite a few times I got out of jail because I had some natural advantages in Quant. But in hindsight, with all this experience behind me, I can tell you it's a very foolhardy strategy. A couple of times it will fall in place magically, but very often you're just picking the wrong battle. You're banging your head against the toughest question as if that question matters. The examiners want to say, okay, you hit a rock, you work around it, go to the next one. You hit a stumbling block, you work around it, go to the next one. How well can you navigate the paper is way more important than how intensely, how much talent you have in cracking open one question. And so be humble. Remember that this exam can give a chastening lesson to even the best guys out there. And so don't let your ego come in place. So make sure that your question selection game is top notch. Have a bunch of rules to leave questions. And I picked up all this up after I wrote my 5th or 6th CATs. Till then, my mind refused to let go of questions. Now I'm more savvy, more experienced. Sometimes maybe it's also because I think I'm probably not as quick as the best guys out there now. So I probably think that I need to be better at question selection to compete with them. If I'd had that humility 10 years ago, maybe it would have been better. You got to work with what you have. So keep in mind that you don't need to challenge yourself against each question and come out on top. You need to pick the right battle and then win it. And the question selection is something that you need to take away from each and every single mock. Final thing is your kind of 10,000 feet view. What am I good at? Am I picking the right? Am I doing RCs first or in the end? Do I do DI bias questions or LR bias questions? Am I really having fatigue errors? Did I just lose 7 minutes in the middle where I did nothing because my mind went blank? Am I getting tired during the exam? Can I combat that? Can I combat that fatigue? Can I be conscious and switched on and say, look, I'm not going to get tired? Those are the kind of finer details you have to do. Was my timing right? Did I start at the right time? Was I hydrated? Was my mind kind of craving for a break because I was not physically ready? All those things you need to do. Those details matter. Before the exam, the feel-good factor is saying, look, let me take this on, let me destroy this. That feeling is crucial. And if you can't build that feeling, if you can't find a set of things that are going to come together for your mock performance, for your actual CAT, then how are you going to create that scenario? And a big part of it is in your mind. You have to walk in feeling good. And if you can't figure out what makes you feel good, How are you going to recreate those settings? And I can tell you the best guys. These guys used to select the chocolate bars, their what they were going to wear, what watch to pick up, when to go, everything. They know that they're going to leave the watch and belt outside, but going in, they want to feel as good as possible. And so all of these things mattered to those guys who were anal about detail. And you're going to compete with those guys, a bunch of guys who are going to worry about what pen they will take with them to leave outside. And so that level of detail is what the guys are particular about. So you should up your game to know what you feel good about. That is crucial. So that's the third part. More mocks you take, the better you will get at the content part and better you will get at question selection. And more time you can focus on the finer detail. And so the fine detail matters. You can't start with the fine detail, but that also matters. Keep that also in mind. This is my favorite question. How do you determine what the trade-off between speed and accuracy is? To start with, there is no trade-off between speed and accuracy. If you go in thinking, I'll do slightly quicker, even if I get some stuff wrong, that's the silliest attitude to have. And it's basically you're saying, hit me with whatever you've got to the exam. You're basically inviting the exam to come and have a whack at you. So be very clear. There is no trade-off between speed and accuracy. There's a certain speed where you can get a bunch of things correct. You can get 100% of the things correct. Especially in Quant and iler, you have a natural way of solving and you mark stuff correct. You do slightly quicker and you don't know whether you might get it correct. Stop. You should not be doing quicker. And imagine this. You attempt a Quant question and you get it right. And then you say, okay, I've got this right in 1.5 minutes. Can I do it in 80 seconds and get it wrong? That's a question you're asking yourself, effectively. Getting a question right and getting a question wrong is going to be no difference in the time spent. So where is the trade-off coming on? This trade-off is coming because your mind starts operating in a frenzy. And once again, I'm going to talk about a sporting example. The best guys out there, if you see them, they're completely relaxed. Their mind is doing a million calculations. Their body is reacting with instinct. Their muscle memory is toned and in place. But they're not fidgety. You've seen Diego Maradona before a football match. He's a picture of calm. He's carrying the hopes of millions of people and just the kind of vague aspirations of probably 100 million more every time he gets onto the field. Everybody is willing him to do well. And then there's a bunch of, lots of people are willing him to do well and then lots willing him to not do well. You see, there are one of those marvelous videos of warm-up before the game. Entire 2 sets of teams, 21 players are doing some kind of keep ball among each other and doing stretches and exercises. Maradona stands in the center circle, then tosses the ball up left, right. He's dancing with the ball quite magnificently before a game. He's basically at peace with himself. He knows he's going to conduct a show, but he's that relaxed, but not intense. And so if you think there's a trade-off between speed and accuracy, you want to go berserk, you want to fire, but you're not ready. You're operating in what I would call a frenzy, not with intensity. The guys who are operating very intensely, they are not frenzied. They don't make silly errors. They don't make judgment mistakes. They don't rush without reading the entire question. Those are things that the people who are not sure end up doing because they want to kid themselves and say, I'm going to do fast. So don't have a target to chase. There is no trade-off between speed and accuracy. Tell that to yourself. All of you are struggling with accuracy issues. Tell yourself you'll take one mock, exactly one mock, where you'll get everything correct. It doesn't matter if you attempt only 12 questions overall, but you attempt 12 questions, get everything correct. Do that for one mock. Your entire mindset about accuracy will change. It should change. You should make it change. You must strive to be anal about accuracy. So there's no trade-off between speed and accuracy. So write it down somewhere. I will not trade off accuracy for speed because there is no such thing. My mock scores are too low. What should I do? If the scores are too low, then the your fundamentals could be poor. It could be exam anxiety. It could be a mixture of these two. Right? First thing to know, you cannot fix this by saying, therefore, I'm not going to take mocks. And you've got to have a mock schedule. You've got to have discipline about it. You have to analyze it. You have to see how you're going. You need to fill your gaps and then plan. Right? You need to set reasonable targets and then go after them. Suppose you're getting consistently 68th percentile. You cannot say, okay, what do I need to get to 95? You've got to say, okay, I'm getting 68th percentile. That give or take translates to an overall score of 45, 50 marks, roughly. I know I can get 65 marks. I know that I can do these 3 things to do slightly more. 65 corresponds to 75th percentile. Let me get there. Don't shoot to double your score. Keep modest targets and get them. There's no magic bullet for this because I don't know why your mock scores are poor. Because fundamentally all fundas are weak. Then you have to work from ground up and improve it. Right? The scores are low. Don't stop taking mocks. It's crucial. Don't stop analyzing them. Don't set over ambitious targets and shoot for the start. Go step by step. Go in increments. Right? So if it is anxiety, then you've got to learn to address that. De-emphasize the result. Enjoy the process. Don't say, this is the most important exam in my life. What will I do if this doesn't fall in place? Pata nahi maa baap kya sochenge and all that. Doesn't matter. You're doing this exam for yourself. You're doing this because you're ambitious and from some trajectory, you want to take a step up to the next trajectory. If you're basically saying, I'm giving it a shot. You can't say, this is the most crucial thing. So much is riding on it. And sometimes you're so intense that you're thinking about it all the time. The most important thing that you can do is take a clean break of 48 hours or 60 hours. Okay, I'm not going to think about this exam at all for 2 days. Then I'll come back. Your mind needs certain amount of sleep time to put different ideas into buckets. So many inputs you get from so many places. There's a motivational talk from somewhere. There's a series of geometry videos you've watched. You solve 17 questions in inequality. There's one guy saying take a mock every day. Another guy saying don't take more than 2 mocks per week. One guy saying just read for verbal. You don't need to practice anything. Next guy saying do at least 10 para jumbles every day. So there are so many inputs. Right? Your mind needs a certain amount of pause and to recalibrate and say, okay, I'm going to find my way through this set of inputs. This works for me. That doesn't work for me. This idea appeals to me. That one doesn't appeal to me. This guy seems to be speaking sense. That is just nonsense. I'm going to ignore everything that's coming from there. And then create your plan. Sometimes that can't happen if you're continuously hit with inputs. And we, right now, are continuously hit with inputs all the time. So hit a pause, step back, create your plan, and then restart. Set targets in increments. If you're continuously getting 50th percentile, then you have to say, okay, I want to get 99 and go down on the bar. But right now, I want to consistently hit 65. I'll get there and then see whether I can find something else to consistently hit 80 and then see where it takes me. You cannot let the pressure of saying I need to triple my score in 7 weeks prevent you from adding 30% to your score. It's very crucial. Go in steps. Don't jump and put the pressure of this gigantic target onto yourself. Right? An offshoot of this, my mock scores are too low is one complaint. Other thing we hear very frequently, my mock scores are volatile. My percentiles are volatile. Right? Usually, there are 2 reasons to it. One is randomness. Stuff can happen. You're good one day, you're less good the other day. That's randomness. We'll come to understanding randomness later on, second part. The second thing is you don't have a handle on how much risk you're taking. You're attempting questions willy-nilly, thinking, okay, this looks like the answer will be an odd number. The 2 odd choices, I'll punk one. That's not the kind of way you approach Quant. And you can't say Ram or Rahim is not standing first. Those are 2 choices. It is Krishna or Shyam. Well, let me just mark Krishna. There's a 50% chance of it being right. That's not the way you go for iler. So you diligently solve, get to the right answer, spend the extra 10 seconds, make sure it is right, and then do this. The clearest underlying variable predicting, sitting underneath volatility of scores is accuracy. And if your accuracy is 75%, so I have to put it mildly, if your accuracy is 75%, that means half the questions you've attempted sincerely. Second half, you've taken a 50-50 chance. Half of them have fallen your way. In your unlucky day, your accuracy could be as low as 50%. You have control over only half the paper. Imagine you go and visit a doctor who generally gets half the things right. You wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. You're saying my accuracy is 75% in Quant and BI and about 50% in VARC. 50% in VARC, it's nothing. Basically inviting trouble. And so you need to say, I need to become more accurate. That should be an attitudinal thing. Second thing, you need to have a sense of measuring your risk. What do I mean by that? Every time you finish a mock, you tell yourself, look, I've attempted 52 questions in this mock. I know that 43 are ones that I attempted with no risk. I'm very sure of these 43. The remaining 9 is kind of iffy. I was not sure, but I took a chance. But at least I know what chance I'm taking. You've got to say, in this 43, at least 42 should be right. In that 9, I'll measure and know whether I'm getting 6 out of 9 right or 2 out of 9 right. If I get only 1 or 2 out of those 9 right, then I should be attempting this 43 and maybe 2-3 more that I can be sure of. If I'm getting 7 out of those 9 right, then my gut feel is working. My risk appetite can be even higher. Then you say, okay, I'll take slightly more chance. But very often I see that students measure their accuracy as a part of their 52. It has to be 2 parts. I'm sure this is right. I've taken some risk in this. If you don't have a sense of what are your sure things, where you're taking risk, then you're all over the place. Then you don't have any control over this paper, just shooting in the dark. Right? The other variable that we said, randomness. And I don't know, I'm doing everything the same way. My percentages are going up and down. It could be a technology thing. How many people have taken this test? Whether that percentile table thing has been drawn correctly. It could be some X factor. It could also be maybe you were tired. Maybe you were not at your best while you were attending the exam. Maybe you were dehydrated. Maybe you didn't feel good. You just had a spat with somebody. You took half an hour off and you said, I'll take it out on this mark. And maybe anger is not a good motivator for you. Maybe you can't be pissed and take a mark. That doesn't work for you. You need to be relaxed. So there is another mark, everything fell in place. You got to go back and say, okay, everything fell in place. That Friday, I was in the zone. I hit 98.5% and I didn't even think I had done that well. But everything fell in place. I'm going to think about what happened then. Then you might have realized that you took half an hour off listening to some music, then 10 minutes switched on, then you took the exam. You shut out everything. You closed all the curtains, closed everything. And maybe you'll mimic that. And you'll go into a zone with that set of settings. That's how you re-engineer the randomness and say, okay, maybe this is how it worked. Right? So if your scores are volatile, beat down accuracy, be particular, be anal, know what risk you're taking. There's some amount of randomness, re-engineer and find out what is driving that randomness. Both could work, but the most important thing is to beat down inaccuracy, to be anal about getting stuff right. Next, if you want to think about topic-wise test about full length versus full length marks, it's a no-brainer. You can take topic-wise test for fun. You can break a cat into 3 parts for the heck of it, for fun. None of those scores have anything to do with your marks. Marks, this exam, the final lap is about stamina and intensity. And so if you take a 1 hour quant, a 1 hour verbal and 1 hour DI and add the 3 scores up and imagine a percentile, you can basically watch a movie and say you got 94%. It means nothing in the context of taking a 3 hour exam for this thing. Sitting after 150 minutes, hanging in there and trying to solve a quadratic equation is the mothership. That is the challenging part. So you will get no flavor of that if you keep on breaking up your mark. If your mind is not ready to sit for 3 hours, condition it to be ready and keep trying till it gets ready. And it's absurd to say I'll take 1 hour, add my scores up, imagine re-engineer my percentile, and that's where you're doing. Topic-wise tests are fine. Section-wise tests are fine. But they are not marks. They're simply nothing close to marks. In the last lap, you need to be taking lot of marks. Intensity matters. Chase that. Don't kid yourself and say 1 hour exams are the real deal. They are not. Keep that in mind. What is the difference between 80th percentile and 93-94th percentile? 93-94 to 99, 99 to 99 point. I'm going to start with 80th to 93-94. 80th to 93-94, according to me, is predominant. This is one part not having a sense of what your strengths and weaknesses are, one part being weak in some fundamentals. And so if you're strong across the board in fundamentals, know where your strengths lay, then you can hit 90 in this exam. If you know basics of arithmetic and algebra, some sense of puzzle solving and some practice, and you have the reading habit, and you know which passage to select, which puzzle to go after, which topics to chase, you have a decent chance at 90. And so if you're getting 65th percentile, then consolidate. Then say, I'm not looking for 95. I'm going to write down 7 topics I'm good at. I'm going to chase only this. Right? I'm going to be strong in fundamentals, strong in these topics. Forget about everything else. Limit my ambition. Get that right in the bag. Then I'll add 2 more topics to the list. And reinforce fundamentals. Have a better understanding of your strengths. From say, you have to go from 60th to 90th or 75th to 90th percentile. That's your idea. Reinforce fundamentals. Understand your strengths. Don't even worry about your weaknesses. It's time to forget your weaknesses, hone your strengths, get to 85. Then chase your weaknesses if you need to. What is the journey from say 90th or 87th, 88th percentile to 97, 98th percentile? You need to have a certain automaticity in your mechanisms. 3-hour exam is tired. The guys who have done this many times over, they don't get tired. The guy who has solved 100 quadratic equation, for him solving the 101st one just comes naturally. He's just not really spending any mental energy in that. He's done 100 questions like this. The guys who have good fund days but have not done those scores and scores and scores of questions under their belt, they struggle. So you will find a classic example will be like a footballer who's a really good footballer, but he's coming after a 7-week injury layoff. He comes in, he's going to feel his way into the game. He's not having that edge. He's rusty. So his muscle memory is yet to kick in. He's little late to each tackle. He's conservative in a bunch of passes. He's not playing with the edge. That's because he's not done this that intensely for a long time. And so the 87, 88 to 97, 98 is all about the drill. Get a bunch of cat level questions, 2 scores of them without dropping intensity. So you should be in a place where somebody walks in and says, dude, 15 question percentages, now start in 4 seconds, this is a sheet, try it, should be ready to go. You should be that ready to take anything related to cat because you've done so many of them. It is not a big deal. It doesn't take much out of you. If you have to take a mock this evening, you're ready. I don't have to sit down and mentally prepare myself and feel good and wear my best underpants and have a chocolate piece of cake to take one mock. It cannot be that high. The bar for just taking a mock can't be that high. You need to be rabid. That's what takes you from say 88, 89 to 98, 99. 99 to 99.9, usually there is some X factor. What do I mean by that? They're intense. They know all fun days. These 2 boxes get ticked. They have enough bandwidth to care about fine detail. They know these are the guys who will flit from one question to another in a fraction of a second. And sometimes I operate in a zone. I get thrilled with a set of questions. I'll finish that question. I'll mark that choice. By the time I click and my mind is, by the time the screen refreshes to the next thing, it just comes on and I've already read 3 words. And I don't have a second's gap between question 1 and question 2. I'm operating in all fine corners. If you look at the Formula 1 race, the guys who set massively brilliant times are the ones who don't do one section and then they have to consolidate. They're just firing. They're just that intent. They find the best lines, the best ways to go. Beyond the fundas and the drill, they have intensity which is maxed out. Right? Some of the other guys have skill sets to burn. There are guys who can take and walk into any cat and they know they'll get 99.9 in Quant. So they've done it throughout their life. And those are the guys who have an easy way through this exam. But if you forget those, the others are the ones who have scrambled through and maxed out all their talents. They don't get tired. They've done gazillion questions. They know how to go from one to another without dropping a second gap. They're continuously switched on and intense. They manage their mind to not sag. And that's the last lap you can find once you have done fundas and drill. So don't go chasing that now. If you're consistently getting 99, you have a decent shot at 99.8 in the exam. But train yourself for that last lap after you consistently start hitting 99. That will happen, automatically happen. That's where the fine detail matters. Being rested, drinking lots of water, knowing your energy, feeling good before the exam. You walk in with a swagger. Those things are the ones that are going to take you from 99.2 to 99.8. The fine details which max out and bring out what is the best way to select questions in Quant. Right? So I don't want to look at this as a question selection algorithm. I want to think of this as question elimination algorithm. The type of question that I don't like. I do not like questions from, say, binomial theorem, coordinate geometry, races. These 3 topics, the moment I see something in that zone, I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to see what it is. I'm not going to fret about it. I'm not think about this is an easy question. I see 2 straight lines, I leave. And so I see that topic hinted, I'm going to leave that question. I hate questions which have more than 3 variables. If it says w, x, y, z, I'm leaving that. If it's even 3 variables, but x square, y cube, z power 4, I'm leaving that. I don't want that. I'll leave those questions. If I have questions that go to 4, 5 lines, I'm going to leave that. There's a lot of story and then the meat of the question comes. I have to process the English, grab the story, convert it to math, solve, then work my way back and then answer the question. That is just not worth my while. And by the time I do that, I'm tired. I'm not feeling good about this. So these are my leaving algorithms. I don't want to do these. The best way for me to relax is not this feeling that I've selected the best question. The one thing that relaxes me in the exam, marking an answer choice. If I say C, B, A, D, and I'm doing it with some momentum, some speed, I'm a front runner. I go berserk if I have momentum. So if I need to not get caught in stinkers, but if my first 7 questions get done in 15 minutes or 12 minutes, then I'm unstoppable. So I need to answer to relax myself. If I get the first 5, 6 right, my adrenaline kicks in. So The key thing I'm trying to tell you here is your question selection algorithm is linked to the kind of person you are. What gets you going? What makes you feel good? What gives you momentum? That kind of understanding is important. Make your rules for question elimination, for not doing a question. Don't have hard and fast rules for doing a question. You see a question in the zone, it doesn't fall into any of these other three categories. It's doable, give it a go, crack it. Have rules for jumping out if the question doesn't fall in place. Generally, if it's a new topic, you can understand from the first two lines, you go ahead and nail it. Don't be overly particular on that 10-second, 20-second. Don't have hard and fast rules for every question. There'll be one question that takes more time, one that will be easy, one that you find particularly easy because you've grappled with an idea for longer. That will average itself out. Don't measure time for every question. And so, having said that, have rules for leaving a question if it goes beyond a time. If you're doing a quant question and it's 5 minutes you've been trying that question, you're evidently trying the wrong question. Whether you get it right or wrong is material. So leave. If you're doing a logical reasoning puzzle and you're 14 minutes into it, you still don't know exactly what goes where, leave. I know it sounds cruel to leave 14 minutes worth of effort. It's either leaving 14 minutes worth of effort versus leaving 18 minutes worth of effort for no return. Might as well quit now. And so have good stop loss things for how much time after which you just say quit. Okay, not happening. Let me get some my marks elsewhere. But don't have hard and fast rules for selecting questions. Have clear rules for leaving questions. The more mocks you do, the better your rules will get defined. For logical reasoning, DILR, I love pure DI questions. There are lots of computation and growth rates and market shares and 3 different graphs. I like those. I look at the numbers and they call out very friendly with those. I can add, subtract, multiply. I know where I have to use calculator, where I can do on my own. I love those. I like set theory questions. I like mathematical puzzles. So these 3 are my mothership. There's lots of 7 people standing in a queue with 6 variables and 5 other constraints. I'll leave those. Big story things, they don't work for me. I know this because I've done a bunch of mocks and I know what I like, what I don't like. What I don't like, I won't touch. What I like, I'll poke. If it works for me, I'll nail it. If it doesn't work, then I'll leave. So, but I don't have a definite rule for definitely doing what I like, but I have a clear rule for running away from what I don't like. You need to make yourself feel good every time you leave a question. And this is particularly true for quant, where we are all conditioned to answering one after the other. And for quant, have clear rules for leaving. Get a bunch of questions before done with momentum, before this thought of how much have I done, how much is remaining, is this an easy paper, is this tough, what will be a good score. Before those thoughts start coming to your mind, get a lot of questions answered. For the first 30-35 minutes, forget about all that. It should be very binary. See question, smash question. Either leave it or you smash it. You take that leaving decision, otherwise jump in and have a go. And so don't let this overall thought cloud you. Be very clear about that. So guys, best wishes. Okay.